I have learned more from bad books that I was interested in, that resonated with me, than that I have learned from insanely good books that I wasn't ready for. Many people have asked me what books I've read and what books I like the most. And the first thing that comes to my mind is it doesn't matter that much what books I like. It doesn't really matter what books I have read, because how much a book is going to affect you is very, very dependent on like multiple factors in your life. It is dependent on what your interests are. It is dependent on what phase in your life you're at. It is dependent on what knowledge you have already. One person might read a book, and to that person, that book is going to be life-changing. And he recommends it to a friend, and that friend's going to be like, oh, yeah, oh, okay. I guess that was a cool book. Yeah, sure. It doesn't affect him. But then the same friend reads the same book 2 years later, and suddenly life-changing to him as well. It happened exactly with me. I read The Power of Now, and I thought this was an awesome book, right? The first time I read it, I would read one page, and after reading one page, I would just spend 20 minutes staring in front of myself, thinking about life. Like thinking how this applies to everything that I've ever done in my life. Thinking how this applies to everything that I'm ever gonna do in my life. I would go about my entire day from the perspective of this book. You know, I would spend like a phase in my life where I would just constantly think about the stuff that I read in here. And I recommended it to my girlfriend. I said, honey, you have to read this. This stuff is going to be life-changing. It's going to affect you. And she read it and she was like, oh, yeah, okay. Cool, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, so be more mindful, huh? Yeah. Don't spend any time on useless thoughts. Don't worry about the past and the future and other things, but just be present in the current moment. Okay, yeah, cool. I guess that makes sense. It didn't really hit her the same way that it hit me. You know, I thought that I would recommend her a book that was going to be life-changing to her, but to her it was just like, yeah, okay. Cool information. Guess that makes sense. How much the book affects you is so dependent on how well the book resonates with you. And so the best advice that I can give to people, and don't worry, I am going to talk about the actual books that I've read in just a minute, but the best advice that I can give when it comes to book recommendations is don't listen too much. You can get inspired by me giving you tips on what books to read. But don't place too much value on other people's opinions of books. Don't think that their recommendations are going to be life-changing to you as well, because how life-changing a book is going to be to you is going to depend on how well the book resonates with you. So really what you should be doing is trying to find what books resonate with you. What topics are you currently interested in? And like, how much do you already know? How much does this, like, how well does the book connect with you? That's what you should really be looking for. Now, another thing I think you should know when it comes to reading books is that people often make the mistake of thinking that a book is good if it contains a lot of good information. We think that the amount of information determines how good the book is, and that's just wrong. One of the main reasons, if not the main reason, more important than the actual information you get, is the fact that a book influences your mindset. There's this old saying that says you are the average of your 5 closest friends. Your 5 closest friends. Which means that if your 5 closest friends are these guys that just play video games all day and smoke weed, you probably are exactly like that as well. You probably also smoke a lot of weed and play a lot of video games, because you influence each other. The people that you spend the most time with influence your mindset. It influences your perspective towards life. If your 5 friends are these entrepreneurs that just work on their own business all day, chances are that you are also going to be an entrepreneur that works really hard, or that at least you sort of get hyped to actually want to become like that, right? Well, books work in the exact same way. our brain cannot differentiate between a real friend or reading a book or watching a YouTuber. And so watching a YouTube video or reading a book is essentially like spending time with the person who read the book. If, for example, we read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which I liked. This is a book I liked, and this is a book that a lot of people like. This is a book that hypes a lot of people up to get rich, to become successful, right? But it's not like this book contains like a shit ton of information. No offense to Robert, it's a good book and he does give some actual tips. But if you really analyze what this book says, this entire book is basically Robert saying, guys, don't spend your money on useless things where you lose money, but spend your money on things that make you more money. Invest. This is essentially a whole book of Robert saying, invest your money, use it wisely. That's essentially what it is. But Robert is a good writer. Robert has like a rich people successful mindset. And so reading the book is like spending time with a rich person, which is going to make you hyped to also become rich. And that's exactly how books work. It's not about the actual information, but it's about spending time with a certain mindset, with a certain perspective that is going to influence you to become a better version of yourself. So this is also something to keep in mind. When deciding what book you're going to read, it is not about how informative the book is. It is not about what facts the book is going to present you with. Now, sure, facts and actually learning stuff can be useful. But in my opinion, probably the most important thing is mindset. You are confronting yourself with certain mindset. And so when trying to figure out what books you're going to read, try to think about in what ways you would like to change your own thinking. Would you like to become someone that thinks more about becoming successful and becoming rich instead of procrastinating? Well, maybe read a book written by someone that is a rich person that is hyping you up to become more successful. If you want to become better at enjoying the moment and actually enjoying life, maybe read a book by someone that has that perspective. If you want to become like a friendlier person, a better person that treats other people better, read a book written by someone who is going to give you that mindset. You see, it's not the information, it's the mindset. So let's get to the actual book recommendations, because that's what a lot of guys want to hear, right? Screw all these wisdoms, Rob. We just want to see what books you've read. Okay, let's get into it. Now, I'm going to categorize them in a couple of categories. Don't take this too literally. It's going to have some overlap and you shouldn't really put things into boxes too much. But let's start with like the life category. Life in general, mental health, etc. The Power of Now. Said it before. This book had a big impact on me. This book essentially teaches you the power of now, the act of mindfulness, being present in the current moment, not wasting your thoughts on the past and the future or things that don't matter, not worrying about things you should not be worrying about, actually focusing on the moment, enjoying the moment, and thus enjoying life. That's essentially what the book boils down to. And if you become more present in the current moment, you don't just enjoy the moment more, but you also become more productive, etc., etc. It's going to be life-changing. It can be life-changing. This is one of the books that I would recommend to everyone. Buy it. There's some other books in here that are like, yeah, you could read them if you want to. This one, yes. This provides you with a perspective on life that everyone is going to have to think about at a certain point. So definitely get this book. Read it. If it doesn't change your life, or this is a bit of an exaggeration maybe, but if it doesn't affect you deeply, try to read it again 1 year or 2 years later. This is one of my favorite books. Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. I really like this one as well. Stoic philosophy. A lot of people have probably heard about this. It's old. It's written by Marcus Aurelius, which died in like the year 170 or something. It's written like 2,000 years ago. It is not really like a book, as in like a story or like a big linear thing, but it's more like little individual life lessons. But that, in my opinion, that is actually what makes it great, because you can just open up this book and sort of read it like a Bible. I think. I never actually read a Bible, but you can just read like 1 or 2 lessons whenever you want to. It's like you can carry this around. You can just open it up and read like one little lesson, or you can like remember a certain lesson and then like put these notes in there, and then you can sort of read a certain lesson to sort of reassure something to yourself whenever you need it, whatever. It's 2,000-year-old wisdom in a book. It's a collection of 2,000-year-old great wisdoms in a book. I like it. Jordan Peterson. I liked it as well. A lot of people say that this is overrated. I personally liked to watch Jordan Peterson videos. When I watched Jordan Peterson videos, it resonated with me. So the book resonated with me as well. If you like to watch Jordan Peterson as well, you're gonna like this book as well. The next category is getting rich and becoming successful. There's nothing wrong with superficial motivation. Some people will try to tell you, that's dumb, haha, superficial motivation. You should read something deeper, like the meditations or the cool people that read The Power of Now. Guys, especially in the early phases of self-improvement, you are going to be driven by superficial motivation. You want to become rich, you want to become successful, you want to become attractive and have sex with women. It's great, okay? If reading a book that hypes you up to become rich is actually going to make you work hard on your own business instead of procrastinating, playing video games and fapping to porn, then by all means, use superficial motivation. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kind of talked about it already. This is a book that worked for me. I read this book and it hyped me up. It's not actually about the actual information. You read this book and it hypes you up to actually want to become more productive as well. A lot of people have read this book. A lot of people get hyped by this book. It might work for you as well. Think and Grow Rich, another classic, written by Napoleon Hill. 1937, so it's a bit older. It's a tougher read, but it's sort of similar. It also has a chapter called something about the mystery of sex transmutation, sexual transmutation, which is essentially the 1937 version of nofap or semen retention. He talks about not wasting your sexual energy too much and using it, transmuting it to become more productive and become successful. So if you are interested in becoming successful and rich, and you are also interested in nofap and semen retention, this is going to be an interesting book. And then the next category, last category, I'd call this like social skills and character traits, like becoming an actual good person, especially in regards to how you present yourself towards other people. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is also an old book. Not sure when it was written. I think it was also in like the 30s or something. Not sure. It's an old book, but it's great. The way that the title presents itself sort of makes you think that you are going to like manipulate people for your own benefit or something. That's how some people might interpret it. And yes, it sort of teaches you the skills that you could do that to some extent. But it also just really teaches you how to be a good person. How to be a good person on the social aspect of your life, and how to like make other people like you for actually being a good person. Not tricking other people, but how to actually deal with other people in a positive way. It's essentially like being a good person, social skills 101. And that takes us to my last book. This one I probably liked the most out of all of them. The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida or Data, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. This book is masculinity. This book teaches you masculinity. It teaches you how to be a man. It teaches you how to deal with women, with femininity. Now, the reason I like this book so much is because it does it in a positive way. Have you guys ever noticed that we live in this society where when it comes to masculinity and dealing with femininity, things are very polarized. We either have like the red-pilled betas that don't know how to deal with women, you know, and they sort of put women on a pedestal and so blah, 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 all the negative things. And on the other hand, you have like the red-pilled guys, but the red-pilled guys sort of start to like develop a negative attitude towards women, right? They sort of start to think that women are the enemy and that femininity is a bad thing that sort of has a negative impact on your life. Oh, don't waste time on women, you kings. Be on your purpose. Women take you away from your purpose, and women provide you with too much bullshit and too much emotions, and women are different than men, and so therefore don't spend too much time on women. It's bad for you. This book actually teaches you to love women. It actually teaches you the differences between men and women, and it sort of presents that in a positive way where it's like, yeah, women are different, but that's great because you're a man and you are attracted to women. You know, masculinity and femininity attract each other. Here's how to actually deal with femininity in a positive way so that you can learn to love women, have healthy relationships, and improve your life. That's what this book teaches you. And practically no one in this modern age teaches you that from this perspective. But it's either the blue-pilled people or it's the red-pilled people that sort of see women as a negative thing. This book actually teaches you masculinity, and it actually teaches you how to love women, to learn that women are great, that women are a good thing, that women can be an enrichment to your life, and it actually teaches you how to interact with women in a good way. This book, I probably like this one the most out of all the books because it just felt like this was something that our modern society just needs so bad, and practically no one talks about it from this perspective. So this is another book that I would recommend to everyone, really, at least if you're a man. I think there's a female version of this as well, but if you're a guy, especially if you've ever watched some red pill content and you might be tempted to sort of think that, ooh, femininity can have a negative influence on you. If you've ever had these thoughts, read this book before you dive too deep into the red pill hole, right? Because women are great. Women are something that you should love and not something that you should see as the enemy. Get this book. So out of the top of my head, I might have forgotten some books because I've read a lot of books. This is a book that you should get. The Way of the Superior Man, The Power of Now. These two, probably the top two. The Power of Now, Way of the Superior Man. Probably How to Win Friends and Influence People as well, because it's just such a great basis for social skills. And probably the meditations as well, because you can just carry this around everywhere and just open it up. And the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. See, I just enriched my life by reading one sentence of 2,000-year-old wisdoms. So that's what makes the meditation so great. These books, I would say, get these books. Again, meditations, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but especially The Power of Now and The Way of the Superior Man. Get these books. And aside from that, guys, try to figure out what books resonate with you. If you, for example, like to watch Jordan Peterson videos, you are going to like Jordan Peterson's book. If you are in a phase of your life where you are tired of being unproductive and you want to work hard and start your own business, read something that talks about that. Something that is written by Robert Kiyosaki, who is a rich person who confronts you with his rich people mindset. Read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Try to figure out what books you're interested in right now, what books resonate with you, and start looking for books that resonate with you. Now, one way to do this is to use a service called Shortform, which gives you summaries of non-fiction books. Now, no, I do not think that a summary can ever serve as a substitute for reading the whole book, because like I said, reading a book is largely about confronting yourself with that mindset. And so you'd actually want to spend some time actually reading the book, right? Reading a summary would sort of defeat the whole purpose of spending a lot of time with that mindset. But you can use a summary to see whether the book resonates with you or not. If you are interested in a certain topic of books, like for example, you want to become rich and successful, you can go through the summaries of the books in that topic and you can see which books you are going to like or what books you are not going to like. If I recommend you a book, Like, for example, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I forgot to mention, which is why I'm mentioning it right now. Really take my recommendations with a grain of salt, because I've read a lot of books and I might have forgotten more. But if I recommend you that book, you can check the summary on short form and you can see if you are going to like that book, if that book is going to resonate with you or not, before you actually have to buy the book. And of course, summaries can also help you to refresh the information of the books that you have already read. Because yes, I like to talk about how a book can influence your mindset, but I'm not trying to claim that information is completely useless. You can still read books to actually learn things. And once you've read a book, you can use a summary to sort of refresh your information. I honestly think that the summaries on short form are better, that they are better than on the other apps, because they tend to be like more into depth. A lot of them have like a short version of the summary, and then they have like a more into depth version of the summary. A lot of books actually have exercises. So when it comes to the actual information part, this is a great way to sort of retain information and refresh your information on the books that you've already read. Because if you're like me and you've read a lot of books and you tend to forget a lot about them, then refreshing your memory can really be great. But the most important thing related to this video, what I'm talking about right now, is that you can use short form to see what books resonate with you. And that is really the main takeaway that I want to give you guys in this video. Listening to other people's book recommendations is great because you can get Listening to other people's book recommendations is great because it can inspire you, but in the end, you are going to have to find the books that resonate with you. I have an affiliate link, which is shortform.com/Rob, but I'll leave it in the description and the comments below as well. So check it out.